Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, looks like we're live, right?
We are live now.
Yep.
Okay, so this is February 18th, 2021. This is a meeting of the Commissioners of Poolesville. And let's see, Jeff Eck, Martin Radigan, Ed Reed, myself, Carrie Cook, and our town manager, Seth Rivard, are in attendance. And hopefully Jim will be joining us momentarily. And we'll start out with our Pledge of Allegiance. Ed, would you like to lead us this evening?
Sure, be glad to. I'm just moving some things around here. All right, let's go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. So we'll move into our commissioner reports and committee reports. So in the interest of time, I just wanted to give a little bit of feedback on a few conversations that I had over the last 2 weeks. Well, I just was attending the MML chapter meeting that County Exec Mark Elrich was at. He mainly talked about the COVID rollout and the fact that, we've really, we're still kind of stuck in the one category, right? 1A, B, and C, and the expectation of vaccinations is just not nearly enough, which, we've all been hearing a lot. He's hoping that the state doesn't kind of move into group 2, because that will probably then cause more issues for Montgomery County. But he did talk a little bit about a possible county vaccination schedule system that they're going to take on their own. It looks like PG County is starting to think about doing the same thing. I also interviewed with MCM the other day about the purchase of White's Ferry. So thanks to MCM for that. And, obviously we're happy that, it sure sounds like we're going to have a ferry running again, which is really good news for Poolesville and for our area. Really a lot of thanks to the community who contacted representatives, especially to Andrew Friedson and David Hidalgo, our District 15 delegate and our county councilman. And I was also speaking with a staffer for Congressman Trone, and he had said that they just had, quite a brainstorming session that included state transportation, MCDOT, county folks, state folks, Van Hollen's office. It was really quite a substantial working group. And then all of a sudden later that day, they had heard about the purchase. So, I think we're all being cautiously optimistic that this all is kind of coming together now. I think that's really it for me. And let's move on to Martin.
Okay, so the last planning commission meeting, we discussed, I sent you all links for it, so I think you've probably seen it, but we discussed the master plan, and that process is, the ball is beginning to roll on that. We discussed the Bricken property, which we voted to table until we figure out, so we get a better handle on the water sewer situation. And we discussed a little bit about the Willard plan that was sent to the commissioners. And we're going to discuss, I have more to say about that later. So that's about it.
Okay, thank you. Ed.
Short and sweet.
Yeah, perfect.
Sure. No new updates. We have a meeting next week. I mean, we have our next meeting on the 27th, I believe that is 24th. So our committee will meet February 24th.
Great. And Jim.
Fair access, always busy. We've got plenty of things going on, but yes, celebrating the success or apparent success of the lobbying effort for White's Ferry, getting all the people involved and applying the proper pressure. We've got some more focus going back out on making sure that that all the proper people know that we're looking for a few final twists and turns on the plan for the high school, but otherwise, basically things are full steam ahead with the high school. And we're also looking for, going to be building our case for a wellness center. And Link just created a white paper for that earlier today. That's something we're going to vet out and start circulating and get into the right people's hands so that the county can get more involved with what we're looking for in terms of a wellness center. So, even though we've gotten some major goals accomplished, obviously we've got a few more major ones coming on, and we're always staying busy at Fair Access.
Hey, Jim, did you guys discuss the vaccine at all? Like whether or not we should try to, Fair Access should get involved in that?
That's I think that the plan was, and we have discussed it internally. I'm definitely not ruling that out by any means, but we kind of, what we did was through emails, we kind of established the turf for it right now. And if we were going to develop an advocacy campaign, how would that work? And how would it be designed for the up county? So, Martin, I appreciate you bringing it up. It's definitely not back burner by any means, but it's in the mix of things that we've, it seems such a broad-based issue for the county. But that doesn't mean, again, keeping with the mission of Fair Access, that not having some sort of plan for the up county and the western county is, or that we're falling back again into the same categories as the people down county. That's not really the mission of Fair Access. The idea is that, there are, we definitely have had a lackluster, amount of attention paid to us due with the COVID, with the vaccine rollout. So, appreciate you bringing it up. Definitely is something that's on our on a medium burner, kind of waiting to see what the county's plan develops, how that works, and then really, I guess, making a push for putting that into the hands of how it gets up here.
Great, thanks.
So thanks for a reminder.
All right, Jeff.
Yes, thank you. So maybe two things to note, to mention. And that is the renaming of the Bodmer entrance to Helmos Park. No need to move forward on that. However, there was a suggestion to rename that park the Taylor Park. And the Parks and Rec Commission board thought that because that's such a prominent name, that we should really use one of the new parks that's going to be more central in Poolsville, to become the Taylor Park. So I think we all thought that that deserved a more special central location. So that's the idea.
Is Taylor the name Skip Etheridge gave us?
I don't know who
Yes,
gave it.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we just moved that agenda item to March, right?
Yeah, I think it's in. Is it on the March calendar? I thought I saw
March
somewhere
1st,
on the
yeah.
agenda for later today. Okay.
Yeah, we readjusted the agenda.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I have to say, I do.
We have our next meeting in March anyway, so yeah.
I have to say, I think I do agree with you. I think that name deserves like its own marquee park in my mind.
Yeah. We all agreed with that sentiment as well. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful.
Hey, Carrie, before we move on, a quick commissioner announcement. I'm sure you all know this and you've heard about it or you saw it, but Ed and I did the community conversation Monday night. We weren't sure, what was going to happen, how many people were going to come. It ended up being overwhelming. I think we had like 38 questions or something like that. And a really, really good discussion and an informed discussion. I think a lot of people are very well informed. I think some people learned a few things. It was, I can't emphasize how productive I think it was. And I heard a lot of great feedback about it. Seth was nice enough at the last minute to step in because Brian couldn't make it. I know Seth was having a birthday party for his daughter, so it was really nice of him to drop everything and do it. And I got a lot of great feedback about Seth too, about how knowledgeable he was. So thank you for stepping in, Seth.
You're welcome.
Ed, thank you much for everything you did, Ed.
Yeah, you guys did a great job. That was a very, very well received community outreach. And I definitely, without trying to be too polarizing, I'd love to be a part of one in the future too, because I thought, you really just having that one-on-one dialogue was really important with people, and it let them, I really feel like in this pandemic era and the Zoom era, that it gave a shot to break away from our normal meeting protocol and answer and have good conversations with people. So
Agreed.
really well done. You guys did a hell of a job.
Thank you. And I encourage all the commissioners to send it out, like to, send it to people. I put it on Facebook in the comment section of the original post, but
Okay.
I think the more people that see it, the better. I think it's very informative.
So you did post the link to the recording then?
It's posted and Ed sent it out to all of us a few
Okay.
days ago too.
I got the link from Ed, but I wasn't sure if the link was also put on
it's
Facebook or the town webpage or these kind of things. Yeah.
It's out there. I mean, you feel free to share it again. Like, it can't be out there enough as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
And I think one of the things that's important too is just that we underscore that because of certain rules that we are bound to follow, that we couldn't have all 5 of us for doing it at, doing that particular piece. So maybe next time it might be 2 other people, right, who would do it. And so, but we also just wanted to underscore, and for those who are watching with this right now, that the informal community conversation is not a replacement of people signing up and attending the commissioner meetings or the committee meetings and going through that process. So.
All right, great.
Good
Thank
point.
you.
Yeah, great point.
Thanks for that. So next we have approval of minutes. We have approval of minutes from February 1st and approval of closed session minutes from February 8th. Does anyone have any comments, additions, subtractions?
I did not. No, I read it.
Would you like to make a motion to approve?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the minutes. This is Jeff.
Thank you. Would anyone like to second?
Sure, I'll second.
Morgan was.
Yeah, I second it.
Okay, thanks, Ed. All those.
Do we need to give the date to be technical or no?
You could say.
Jeff, why don't you see the dates of minutes in your motion?
Well, I don't actually have the dates. Could you
Okay,
tell me what it
the
is?
minutes are from February.
I'll do it, Carrie. I
Okay,
make a
thanks,
motion,
Mark.
we approve the minutes from the closed session on February 8th. And I make a motion, we approve the minutes from 2/1, February 1st.
And Ed, you're
Yep.
seconding?
Sure, yes, I second Martin's motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thanks. Do we have anyone here to join us for public comment tonight?
We do not have any public comment. We only received that public written statement from Knight Kiplinger in support of the Willard project.
Great. And so then we are on to old business, which is our Willard plan. And I just wanted to say thanks to Seth and whomever else on staff worked on this remarkable chart here.
Kathy helped me.
Get a good snapshot. Yeah, thank you. Well, thank you to Kathy then too. This is really nice snapshot to see all of the resident responses that we got.
Yeah.
You can see both the narratives and sort of giving us like a yay and nay column, which is
Yeah, that was great.
this is really helpful. I just wanted to, I just wanted to thank this board again. I'm glad that we decided to sort of table things last time and allow more time for people to have their opinions heard, because obviously between getting on your community conversations the other night and sending in emails, they had a lot to say. I just wanted to point out a few things that have been questions for me that I saw come up a lot in resident responses. Big question of the day, obviously, water capacity. Do we have it? Can we easily get it? Obviously, let's be clear, when we're talking about utility, we're really talking about wastewater in Poolesville. But that obviously seems to be a recurring theme. Being able to visualize the development. So that's something that is certainly something that I think about a lot. I often have a hard time being able to really visualize just looking at a 2D plot. I know a lot of people, especially folks who are in engineering and architecture and so forth, can really visualize the whole plan. And I kind of see that in a lot of people's comments too, that they're just having a hard time sort of seeing it. And I just want to bring up, I wonder if that's something that the applicant would be willing to provide as more of like a 3D rendering, specifically of what it would look like along Fisher. And then kind of that area from looking from the Commons down to John Poole House, that line of sight that we've been talking about, a 3D rendering of what a typical house would look like. So just a thought that came out of resident emails. The third thing was the green spaces and the parks and roads. I assume the majority of them will become town property and town responsibility. So I just sort of have a general question about maintenance and funds for that. Would that possibly facilitate another FTE or two? Our staff is already pretty stretched, so that's just a question. And then one thing that I saw that came up a lot is this idea that there could be a parking overflow onto Wayland Commons. And that wasn't necessarily something that I had thought about at first, but that did seem to come up a lot. And so, it does seem like we would need to have some kind of assurance that that wouldn't happen. And then lastly, my last question that I had just reading the responses, we do have a streetscape or at least a preliminary plan along Fisher Avenue right there. And are we requiring the developer to undergo and or be responsible for, sort of that part of the streetscape plan? So.
Okay, can I jump in and say something here?
Yeah.
I think before we dive too deep into this and like pick it apart, I think that in my mind, this should go back to the Planning Commission. They clearly didn't understand one of the components to this. I think that there's a little more work they could do on it and refine it just a touch before we get it back. Carrie, those are great comments. I would encourage you to send them to Brian or to Seth, and then Seth can send them to Brian, so that so that we can address all that stuff. I think the answer to your last point is, that they'll probably be asked to pay for the streetscape portion or include that in the plan. But I, rather than like spending a bunch of time on this tonight, like let's kick it back if everybody's okay with that, and then they can deal with it, and I'll make a motion to that effect.
I'd like to add my
sure
my comments, because I took some notes when I was reading all the emails that were sent in and whatnot. And so, so I just wanted, because I think these are important to people, and that's why I wrote them down.
Yeah.
So, so I heard many times in the emails that we got that the folks didn't think that there was enough time to give public comment. And many of the people suggested that we wait until like after the pandemic when we can have an in-person meeting. And so I think we should really give this some serious thought, because many people mentioned that. So that's an important point. Also, another important point that I saw was also one of the things that Carrie mentioned as well. There were lots of questions about the population, about the water capacity, sewer capacity and whatnot. And I'd very much like to see, because there were clearly the same email several times, but that doesn't make it, any less important, because those people took the time to send that in. So I think many of those questions, many of those answers do exist, right? Because many of those things are already posted on the town website. But because we have this iteration of this questions and it appeared many times, I think it's definitely worth an answer, right? All those little bullet points, we can answer those questions and to to the satisfaction of the folks who submitted all those issues. Another point that I wanted to make, and I saw again many times, I don't think some of it may have been a little bit working off the original plan, not the newer plan, but nevertheless, a number of people mentioned that they thought 62 plus 1 or 63 homes was too many. So maybe, if we're gonna kind of, as Martin said, kick this back to the planning commission, I think we should give them some guidance. And I assume they read all the comments just like we have. So they know what the main topic, main concerns were. So I think that's another important point that we need to add on there. Let's see. Yeah, and then one of the things that I don't have an answer to in my mind, and maybe someone else does, and they can educate me. If we do, which it sounds like we're going to do, is kind of hand it back to the planning commission, we need to have a list of things to suggest that they look at. And I think, I guess we're starting to put that list together now. So maybe we should share that by email and make sure we got, all the important points are in an email, so that when we do give this back to the planning commission, they know what specific things to look towards.
Well, yeah, that
I
can't
like
hurt.
that idea, yeah.
Some of the stuff comes at a later date, and some of it comes sooner. Some of the little details about the streets and stuff like that probably comes at a later date.
Right.
But Jeff, good points. And to what you're talking about, there's two things I want to suggest we start to put in our brains tonight. One has very much to do with this, and the other doesn't really. But the first thing I suggest that we do is, and I think we should bring this up, it should be on the next agenda, and we should vote on it, is get a third-party water audit. As much as Seth is awesome, like we should just for the residents' sake, for everyone's peace of mind, have somebody neutral come in here. Not some of the developers suggest, not somebody, any other interested party suggests, a third-party person that maybe Seth could find, and just look at our books and tell us, yeah, you're good, no, you're not good, just so we have something, and we can make it public, and we have that. The other thing, I'll just be quick, is and I've talked to each of you individually about this. I think I'm going to suggest that we allocate some money to get an HR consultant in here for a couple weeks to write a manual to get our processes in order. I think that there's a huge void in our system here for HR, and I think that void needs to be filled really, really soon. Not something we should wait on. So
back to back to Willard and Wilshire, or the Willard development.
Yep.
Martin, is your suggestion is is that a wastewater audit?
Everything, like wastewater, water. I mean, just the concerns are out there that we've heard them before. We heard them at the Q&A. The general consensus among our in-town experts seems to be that the water is not a problem, but I'd still like to see, somebody just look at it just to give us some reassurance, but definitely the wastewater. Yeah.
Beth, is that something that's done? I mean, is that?
Well,
is that something
part of this is done? There's an analysis that I believe Seth's probably going to publish here shortly that talks about our revised usage that's coming up. That's published. We have one that was published in 2019-18. We're waiting for the 2021 one to be published. But it probably, Martin, I think what you're referring to is potentially having an independent study, like from somebody like, I assume we still have a relationship with MES, Maryland Environmental Services.
That is what I'm talking about, Jim. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody like that will also just kind of be a double check quantifying our numbers.
Exactly.
To make sure that where they are, not a bad idea.
Just bolster it. Yeah.
Yep.
And then what I was going to jump in and say too is, Jeff, thanks for your points. I was going to say the planning commission, they also do they have access to what you sent us?
I will send that to them. You're talking about the public comments and
the public
chart.
comments, and that chart is a really good chart. I think they should have that. Does the applicant also get a hold of that?
I have not given the applicant a copy of that. I certainly can.
Yeah, I think if we just upfront with everybody, share the information that we have with everybody, so that it's not just our opinions, but we can get feedback and they get an opportunity to address those points as well.
Yeah, no surprises with anybody.
Yeah, just on everything.
Agreed.
But so the point.
So I make a motion that we take the Willard proposal and send it back to the Planning Commission for further refinement.
I second that.
With our list of items. Okay.
Okay, so we have a first and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Oh, aye, yeah.
Any opposed?
Now,
Okay, great. Motion.
but there was another point which isn't in the hands of the planning commission. I don't think it is anyway. And that was a point that came up again and again, was about extending the public comment until some folks could, after the pandemic, have an in-person meeting. That was prominent in many, many of the responses. So I don't think that's in the planning commission's hands. I think it's in our hands. And I would advocate towards that because so many people mentioned it.
I understand that. I heard that point, but to me, like this is the easiest way. Doing it via Zoom is the easiest way I can think of to testify, because if you're at home, a lot of times my wife won't be here and I can't go out because I got a sleeping child. I mean, I can call in, it's like anybody has access this way. Like coming into town hall is a little bit, for some people a little bit harder. So, I guess but yeah, I did hear that concern.
Well, I don't know, maybe it can be some kind of a hybrid meeting, in person and Zoom, because I certainly understand that for many people, it might be easier just to be on their laptop, but for others, they want the more, tangible feeling.
Jeff, I do want to address this a little bit, and having been a veteran of all of these meetings, including all the planning commission meetings, all the commissioner meetings, having run those meetings before, that's a standard response when to just about any main issue that people might be opposed to, is that they haven't had enough time to wrap their arms around the subject. And we have these meetings are publicly advertised. They're wide open. Carrie's very good about making sure that if anybody wants to have commentary on it, they can. And we solicit a lot of commentary, and we've gotten a lot of commentary. And also, too, this has been something that's been around. This issue just didn't start, the idea of development on the Willard property didn't start overnight. It started 5 years ago.
Right.
And there has been plenty of time for consideration. And I think that with the letters that we received and the public comment and the conversation that took place in the community conversation, we've got a really good basis for making sure that the planning commission wraps their arms around all of the residents' concerns and addresses them before they come back up to us for a potential vote, yay or nay, on the application of the overlay zone. Once the overlay zone is applied, if that's what the body decides to do, then it does go back to the planning commission for even more consideration on those issues. So it's already had a long gestation period, and it's going to have a longer gestation period. But I have to tell you, as a veteran of this, I don't buy into any of the talk about how long it takes, that it's just new and no one's had a chance to digest it. The pandemic has made it so that we can have hundreds of viewers on our commissioner meetings, where we used to have commissioner meetings where there was 3 or 4 people that would come to the meeting. Mm-hmm. So, I think the planning commission, as well as the commissioners, are equipped to make sure that if this development is going to move forward, that it has the vetting out that earns the confidence of our residents, to make sure that we're doing something, should we decide to do that, to make it go forward in a way that works for the town of Poolesville. So I appreciate you bringing it up, but it's this is a long process already.
Yes, I realize that. And it's not, whatever we decide tonight is not the final say by any stretch. But a number of the people did mention, who reads the Frederick News Post, right? And the article about the Willard property was not the prominent article in the January 4th monocle, so the ferry was and all that. So I don't know. I really sense that people wanted to have more time and to be able to come in person and give their opinions.
Well, we got a lot of comments.
Yeah.
That's why we put that Facebook message out and solicited comments for a week.
And also why we delayed and why we put this vote off, why I insisted we put the vote off last time.
Right.
So that we can make sure we had adequate.
Question for clarification.
Would it hurt to make it a little bit long? because we have to go back to the planning commission anyway. So
go ahead, Ed.
Just question for clarification. It's that since it's going back to the planning commission, before it comes back to us, is there another will there be opportunity for public to comment on any revisions that might be made from the planning commission?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean,
So-
we're not going. The planning commission can't really say, you know, citizen comment cannot include what's on the agenda tonight. I mean, so anyone that wants to comment will be able to comment at the next planning commission meeting.
So what I think I'm hearing then is that now that it's going back, right? There'll be some revisions. There'll be some revisions, I anticipate, and then it'll come back to us, and then that information gets to be shared with the community, and the community would have the opportunity to share their thoughts on whatever those revisions might be. And
Yeah,
then
is that
the other
correct?
piece,
Is what it's saying correct? Will the community have another opportunity?
Yes, at the planning commission meeting.
Or at the planning commission meeting?
so
not-
is it at the planning commission meeting, Martin?
Seth, do you want to speak to that?
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, there's a couple opportunities. We'll go back to the planning commission. There's a public comment period there. The planning commission does not hold the public hearing. So it would be just public comment. It'll come back to you all again. You've already held your public hearing plus additional public comment, which you extend the record to noon on February 12th. But you also have public comment. So anybody who wanted to come in, sign under public comment could speak then. Those are kind of the two formats. Of course, email is always an option to continually communicate with the town commissioners. So those are sort of the methods.
Right.
By
Sorry
which
to
it
interrupt,
makes it easier.
Seth, but Jay is actually trying to join.
I don't see him on the side here.
Oh, really? Okay.
Let me take a look.
So while he's doing that, so my recommendation then is that when that opportunity for the information to be shared, I think that when the we should probably share when the planning commission is going to meet and discuss that, encourage people to watch that meeting, sign up if they need to sign up, but at least push out that, hey, don't forget, this is when they're meeting, this is how you can access the meeting, share that information. Then that next piece is that for those who have comments and they want us to hear those comments, so these are two ways that you can get your feedback to us, one through email and the other one is through public comment. I think what I'm hearing Jeff say is that people might not have felt like they had enough time to share, get the message out. And then Jim, I'm hearing you say, hey, look, we've been doing this for a while. And so it's there's this process. And then I would say that, well, I don't read the Frederick Post. And if I wasn't on the inside, I might have missed it in the monocle. But I think that the extension that we gave, we got, as we all know, we got a lot of feedback, but it's always great to get more feedback. Jeff, in terms of waiting till we can get to in person, I think that's an unknown variable.
Oh, it definitely is, yeah.
Yeah, so I would not favor waiting till we can get in person, but I think Zoom and email, definitely Zoom extends the opportunity to come in and participate this way.
Yeah, it isn't what Jeff Eck wants. It's what the folks have emailed and said that they want, right? Because
Yeah, it's about the people. It's not about us.
Yeah,
It's about
it's not about us.
It's
Exactly.
about the residents.
And we all read
Jim-
everything, and that appeared in so many of the different emails and whatnot that we got. So it just
And
doesn't
Jeff,
seem-
you have all the notes. Why don't you put together essentially a one pager that makes sure that the planning commission, and feel free to circulate it, because
I
we
will.
do want to make sure the residents are
Yes,
heard,
yes.
and that if the development moves forward, that it incorporates
Okay.
what can legitimately be added to the development
Yeah,
through resident feedback. If you put that together,
I will.
I'd love to
Yeah.
have that vetted to us.
Yes.
I will help
yes.
you shape it if you want. Then it
Okay.
goes to the planning commission and let them just give themselves whatever level of conversations needed to address it.
Yeah.
And make sure that it's, kind of works on all fronts.
Okay. I have to be very
And
careful.
I would
of it.
suggest when we ask for this additional feedback, Ed's right, we should put this out there and have people comment, but we should emphasize that, like, if you already sent something in saying that, you're concerned about the water, like, we heard that, you don't have to send it in again. It's all good. We're still taking it into consideration. We didn't just read those ones and throw them away. They're still on the table. So
Yeah, so, excellent idea. Okay, that's what we'll do. I'll put together a bullet point list because that's kind of my style. If we can share it around and make sure nothing is missed.
Awesome.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
Good.
Thank you. So now we're moving into the one agenda item we have on new business, which is HB 996, which is the Healthy Foods Accountability Act of 2021. So I had put this on our agenda because it's a bill that's co-sponsored by our D15 delegate, Lily Chi. In fact, she got involved with this bill specifically to support Poolesville. She feels really strongly that Poolesville can use some legislation to try to get us closer to getting a grocery store here. You know, not to say that this legislation is going to be the key, but it's definitely a step. And I'm actually going to be testifying before the House Economic Matters Committee tomorrow. And I believe, are you as well, Jim?
No, thanks for asking. I sent in written testimony.
Written testimony. Okay, great. But it would be great if the whole commission wanted to throw its weight behind this bill. So hopefully everyone was able to take a look at the text, but I'll just quickly say that the bill gives local county liquor boards the authority to issue beer and wine, not liquor, licenses to grocery stores as they see fit. And it prioritizes licenses to those fresh grocers willing to go into or operating in underserved communities for fresh food. So what they are actually calling it priority funding areas, we usually think of as this term that we use a lot, food desert, right? And, you know, like I said, it will give these priority funding areas sort of first pick. And Poolesville is one of those already. So it's not even something that we necessarily have to apply for. We're already sort of designated as that. So again, you know, if there's any discussion, I'd love to hear it. If not, I'd love to hear a motion if the commissioners wanted to support this bill.
Yeah. So would you be willing to write a letter, Carrie, on behalf of us?
I sure could.
Okay.
Let me just give a little bit more background on it too, Carrie. And
Great.
I know you've been a part of this from the get-go, and I appreciate it. One other thing, you know, the genesis of this really is from food deserts and especially fresh food deserts that have been in the past inner city based. So this was actually co-sponsored through a Baltimore, downtown Baltimore congressperson and senator, right, that have pushed for this initiative because, you know, you can go miles inside inner city DC, inner city Baltimore, and never see a grocery store. So it's certainly not fresh food. So they were actually, Lily, give her a lot of credit. She stepped up and saw that there was potentially an application for this in other places that are not just western suburbs, potentially even further west. And so there's other legislative members that have also looked at it from even further out, Cumberland, Frostburg, places like that. So we're kind of the middle ground for this. And to me, it's a great initiative. Basically, it just incentivizes startups and grocery stores that potentially, if they carry fresh food, they will be able to jumpstart and jump in line to get these spirits licenses. So, you know, and I did have a conversation with the liquor board about this, and they said I was a little worried about, you know, we also have spirit salespeople here in Poolesville already. We don't want to affect the business. We don't want to take away from their business. That's not the game plan. And so they're very, very selective about how and who could be the people that would get these spirits licenses. So I was concerned, I know Carrie was too, about how it would affect our local businesses. That's something that we want to make sure that we do not take away from what they do and what they sell. So that's all.
Yeah, thanks for that, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be willing to make a motion that we support this legislation.
I second it.
Wonderful. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Carrie, will you send a copy of the letter just for anyone to say if they have any huge problems with it? Otherwise, we just get it out of here.
Happy to, and I'll be happy to add the whole commission support when I speak before the committee tomorrow.
Thank you. Great.
Thank you. I think that's all we have on the agenda. Hi, Jay. So unless there's anything else for the good of the order, we will adjourn to our closed session this evening.
Yeah, I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second motion.
Ed seconded.
Hang on for 1 second before we vote.
Go
I
ahead,
just want to make sure we did actually vote on putting the Willard proposal back down to the Planning Commission.
We did.
Yes.
Okay.
It was unanimous.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
All right, so we
Thank
have
you all. Have a good evening.
Seth, thank you. Have a good evening.